we're going to be looking at all the sheriff skins in Valorant. Not a single one will be missed. And this list is particularly interesting because it is the first list of the year, which includes the latest EXO bundle. The one that costs $95 but gives us less. The one that has the community up in arms. The one that has made a lot of creators call Riot out. So it's going to be interesting to see where something like this ranks when put to the test. When polled on YouTube, when polled in my Discord, when over 200,000 players had a hand in voting, where will it end up? Is it all talk? Or will people actually vote against it, genuinely not liking it? Time to get started. We are going to rank these in D, C, B, A, and S tier, starting with the D tier, basically sheriffs that no one wants. We have Monstrosity. We have Varnish, Surge, Schema, Protector. Stuff like Protector, like, I know they're not the best, but they are free. Still a D tier skin. We have Peacekeeper, Nano Break, Iridian Thorn, Immortalized, Crimson Beast. Crimson Beast always makes me laugh. Can't believe they thought this was a good skin. That would cost quite a lot of money, actually. Either way. Cloud Weaver, Convex, back when Battle Pass skins were normalized in the shop as well. Sylvanus, Sand Swept, Retro Wave, Prism 2, Overlay, Aristocrat, Wayfarer, Polyfrog, Light Wave, Polyfox, Death Wish, Moon Scout, Mythmaker, Signature, Composite, and Game Over. That makes the D tier, and I know I went through them pretty fast, but they're all pretty boring skins, and for the most part, you either have them through the Battle Pass, or you most likely never even considered buying them with your hard-earned money within the shop. With that being said, we are going to go into the C tier skin. Now, C tier skin is actually a very short list overall. Let me not waste your time. From here, we have Wasteland, which obviously makes a ton of sense. It's a perfect C tier skin. Some people do like it. It was cheaper in the shop. This would have been probably like a B tier if it was Battle Pass, for example. We got Abyssal. I'm pretty surprised, but it did get votes. Keep in mind, these are votes first. These aren't just my opinion. So Abyssal landed in the C tier. We have K-Tac. Same idea here. It's just good value because of the Battle Pass, but it's not like it's something crazy. .sys is also here in the C tier. Then we have stuff like Altitude, which got an okay amount of votes, but at the same time, it's too niche, you know? And then we have the Nebula in the C tier, and this pretty much finishes off the C tier. That's how short it is. And then from here on out, the votes jump. Like from Nebula to the next one is triple the amount of votes. From here on out, I have a little bit of a treat for you guys. We actually use the YouTube polls. So everything from B to S is double dipped in YouTube with like 17K votes or 20K votes, mass amounts of people having their opinion and their hand in how these next skins actually rank. All right, so leading the B tier, we have the Sakura Sheriff. I do think it's overall very clean. If it was something that came in the Battle Pass, it actually would probably rank higher because it's one of the better clean skins. It's just that it's going to be hard to get someone to actually pay for something that still is a default. After that, we have the Minima Sheriff. And this is going to be very interesting. So let me finish the next two and then explain what's going on here. After that, in B tier, one of the most expensive sheriffs in the game, the EXO Sheriff finally lands its spot near the bottom of B tier. And it's very important that I note this because what comes right after this is the Amondir, I'm sorry, I don't know how to really pronounce it, Sheriff. This sheriff isn't exactly the most loved sheriff. Actually, when we're comparing to everything, it's still technically landing in B tier here. Yet, it's time to show the YouTube poll. Part 1 out of 5 here, 27,000 players voted. By the time you're watching this, I'm sure it's more. You can go back and check. Look at the poll. Look at the poll. Sakura only got 5%, Minima 10%. These two are pretty bottom tier when it comes to sheriff skins still. And then EXO versus Amondir has a huge gap. EXO only had to beat this one other sheriff. It did not have competition. Sakura and Minima basically don't even count. Like the only reason they're even in B tier when both are obviously like more like C+ is just because of how the voting system works. After all the votes come in, I have to bunch them into 4s so that I can pull them on YouTube together, meaning the two C tiers sort of got sucked into B tier for free almost. But the main point is still yet, EXO is falling so far behind. So the EXO all in all is a flop. It's only B tier by technicality, but the price alone has probably dragged the public perception down so hard that it ranks right here near the bottom. I wonder if this was a 7100 bundle, if things would of changed. The next group of B tiers are a lot closer and, to be honest, a lot more interesting. I have nothing against any of these skins overall, and they're kind of like all B+ solid skins, and pretty much everything from here feels a lot more what we want to see. So here we go. In the B tier leading up after Amondir, we have the Overdrive Sheriff. The Overdrive Sheriff is still a pretty good sheriff. It's not something that's super standout, but I do believe it's going to speak to quite a few people. It's not my favorite, but I've low-key slowly seen it climb in popularity across all its guns that are within that collection, and I wonder if it's going to sort of grow in popularity over time. I'm not too sure. After Overdrive, we have Imperium. Imperium, same idea. It's not my favorite, but stylistically, it's pretty cool. To me, I think a couple tweaks would have made this a lot better, but you guys still voted, and a lot of you still like it. A little bit of a fun fact, Overdrive and Imperium are actually tied with exact same amount of votes. After that, we got the RGX11Z Pro. I feel this once upon a time was an A tier skin, so this one is actually fallen in popularity overall, and I sort of agree. I think the RGX is a nice bundle still, but I don't think the Sheriff was its sort of standing point. I think their melees, Vandal and Phantom, is really what the RGX is all about, in my opinion. Maybe even the Stinger, etc. But the Sheriff's not the best. Still good, just saying it's not the best. And then after that, we got the Doom Bringer, a very solid B tier skin, almost hitting A tier. It is the end of B tier, so it's B+. It's at the top of B tier, almost sneaking its way in to the A tier. This poll, as of today, has 28,000 votes, and you can see the results here. Overdrive and Imperium, 1-to-1, 17% tied. RGX11Z Pro, only a little ahead. Only a little bit ahead, so it was almost a three-way tie, only by 2% of votes. And then Doombringer bringing it home with a massive 47% of votes, almost half of everyone who voted at this moment. 28,000 people voted for the Doombringer. That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. That's 14,000 people who clicked Doombringer. So yeah, it's definitely climbed a little bit in popularity. I think it is a pretty clean skin, and even I'm becoming a little bit more partial to it over time, and I didn't really like it when it first came out. Next up, we go to the A tier. A tier skins, pretty much everything here on out. I think they're good sheriffs. I'm kind of weird when it comes to sheriffs. I think most of the premium sheriffs are just nice. I don't think Riot really missed too hard on any of the sheriffs moving forward. That's of course my opinion. Either way, starting with the A tier, just making it into the A tier, literally at the bottom, it almost got swapped out, is Magepunk. It is one of my favorite sheriffs, so I'm kind of happy. I know a lot of people put it B tier, and then based off votes, it kind of snuck into A tier, meaning, you know, A-, B+ is sort of where it belongs. Either way, Magepunk leads us into A tier, followed by Araxis. Also a beautiful sheriff in my opinion. I'm very partial to the Araxis skin line because I believe it has one of the coolest color variants, all of which are quite unique to the Araxis skin line, which is something I like to see. I like uniqueness when it comes to each individual gun. Followed by the Araxis, we have Chrono Void. It's interesting. I do like the whole ball mechanic. Even though it's not my favorite, I still think it's a very solid skin that you can't go wrong with, and I do like the default colors, that bronzy gold with white. It's got its own style going on, which again, I just said it, uniqueness is something I appreciate. However, the winner in this category here, when it comes to the votes that they were bunched into, is Protocol. So Protocol comes next. Protocol 781A is definitely not my favorite. It's actually the least favorite out of the four I just read, but my opinion does not matter because if we show the poll here, 15% of 30,000 votes at the time went to Magepunk, 20% to the Araxis, 21% to Chrono Void. So Araxis and Chrono Void, by the time you go back, these could have swapped. You know what I mean? Because votes keep coming in over time. These two can still swap in places. So very close, almost a tie, 1% of votes. But then Protocol really landing that home slide with 44% of votes. You guys really do enjoy the Protocol, and it shows here. I think all of these skins are pretty amazing. You can't go wrong. Continuing on from here, we are still in the A tier category because I only gave S tier to the top 5 sheriffs. I think that's fair. I sometimes do top 10 or top 8. It depends on how many skins there are overall. Sheriff skins aren't as plentiful as melees or vandals or phantoms, so only the top 5 get the S tier when it comes to today's video. So continuing on at the moment into A tier, we have the Sentinels of Light. Sentinels of Light comes next. I think this one is a little bit too bulky for me, but very similar to some of the stuff I said before, that bronze, gold, silver look is something that does look clean, and it definitely speaks to a lot of people, or else it wouldn't have made it this far up. After that, we got the Ion Sheriff. This one is the definition of white, clean, futuristic. I think they sort of nailed that, like if you like that futuristic look without going over the top, because every time they try to go over the top, let's say like EXO, it's like futuristic cyberpunky, I feel like they're kind of flopping. Like Overdrive is climbing, but still like Ion keeps winning. So futuristic clean is a style that Riot should probably try again, because it's not that people don't like futuristic, but once you go futuristic, the cleaner look, that of course white, like aperture white, the black, it looks nice. It obviously looks nice. However, both Sentinels of Light and Ion was beat by Mist Bloom. Mist Bloom is unique. I know, it's very niche. It is very niche. It's got that pinky, sparkly vibe going on, and that's not going to speak to everyone. Not really sparkly, flowery vibe going on. That's not going to speak to everyone, but whoever it does speak to, it's just going to lock in and instantly become your favorite sheriff, because it's so unique. Nothing else is like it, which is honestly huge. I love when the art team does something like it, so I do believe it's deserving of its A tier spot. The last sheriff, believe it or not, is Arcane. And Arcane actually gets promoted from A into S, because now we're in the top 5. Before we get into that though, I want to show you the poll for this one here. You can see Sentinels of Light, only 8% of the votes. Then we got Ion, 13%, Mist Bloom, 25%, and then Arcane, 55%. This poll for some reason got less votes overall, definitely still enough to solidify a poll. All these sheriffs are ranked in an order based off of everyone in my Discord server voting for them, and then I categorize and bunch them into 4s to further refine the top list. That's basically what happened. That's why these 4 are put against each other, because a lot of people were asking why isn't Arcane put against Neo Frontier, for example, and I can understand why people would want that. But Arcane did not land alongside Neo Frontier in the primary poll first. But that doesn't really change the facts. Arcane won this poll, and Arcane did win its top 5 position, making it the first of the S tier. Let's continue into the last 4 sheriffs. In 4th place, we got the Reaver Sheriff. It is a very solid sheriff. I do believe it is one of a kind when it comes to that Reaver reload, and will forever be its own style. Reaver is sort of like fine wine, as it hasn't just aged very, very well through and through. It's also a pretty good value sheriff to pick up. I don't think anyone's going to disagree that sheriff deserves its spot, even if it's not your style. And in 3rd place comes Singularity. Singularity has been interesting to see, because I believe I've watched it climb. I've seen it climb, then fall, then climb, because I've been doing these polls for a very long time, and I believe Singularity is now just sort of rocket shipped to the top, and I do understand why. It is very, very good when it comes to its sheriff. That reload feels super snappy, and pulling it out works very well. The whole thing that's kind of broken and then comes apart feels the best when it's a small gun versus a bigger gun like the Phantom. Singularity also has pretty good color scheme, not the best, especially with the sheriff one. I believe the new refined color scheme would have went hard. I really wish they added like that gold in Singularity 2.0 on the sheriff. Let's be honest, it might have even ranked number 1, because even with not the best color scheme, like that blue one kind of looks aged at this point, it still got top 3, which is super cool to see. In 2nd place, this one. In 2nd place, we have Kuronami. It feels so good that Kuronami did not get first. It's still kind of crazy all the way up here. It's starting to feel a little bit overrated, and I do agree with a lot of the comments that say that, but the comments, it doesn't matter. In the end, it's about the numbers. And with, at the moment, 30,000 people voting for this particular poll, people already voted in the Discord, and it got 2nd there, and then further refining, it got 2nd again. Just goes to show people are speaking, people like Kuronami, it is clean, it's got the animations, it's got its color schemes, it is more modern than a lot of them, so I understand. It's really just the price, but otherwise, I understand. It is a clean skin, it looks nice, it's a very unique style, and I still love it. However, in 1st place, by quite a landslide, and I agree, Neo Frontier. I don't even have this sheriff, but yes, it deserves first, because in unupgraded form, you're going full cowboy. I love it. It's like I'm in Red Dead Redemption. But then when you upgrade it, you've got that futuristic look that I mentioned before, towards the cyberpunky futuristic or the retro futuristic, without going too crazy. It's still like, it's not as clean as something like Ion, but it adds enough effects to be entertaining and visually pleasing without going over the top. And it's, if shown in the poll, a landslide. Neo Frontier took 60%, and with almost 30,000 votes, that is crazy. Over 15,000 people just saw these 4 sheriffs, these 4 amazing sheriffs next to each other, alongside Konami and just no brain clicked Neo Frontier. That is fantastic. And overall, I do believe this list was good. It is a good Sheriff list. I believe anything in A forward, you can't really go wrong. Riot overall cooks quite well with the Sheriff skins, and I'm happy Neo Frontier won. Of course, let me know your top 5, just top 5, don't spam too much, just your top 5 Sheriffs in the comments down below, and thanks for watching.